entire year off and then came back and won the world title again. That was an opportunity, albeit a tough one for Tom Ford. Ronnie quickly up to the table, and what a treat for the crowd here this afternoon, Darren. Always a sense of anticipation when the Rocket's in town.
Yes, he knows how to fill an arena, that's for definite. Been a great player over the years, and you'd probably say in his latter years he's probably played the best snooker he's ever played on the tour anyway. Very exciting to watch. Makes the game look ridiculously easy. And he's got a Rolls Royce Q action. But not on this occasion. He's covered the red to the left corner. So he hasn't left anything easy, but it's early days. And even the great Ronnie O'Sullivan will suffer with a little bit of nerves and a little bit twitchy to start off. All players are the same until they get into their stride. Some get out the blocks quicker than others.
Well, we do have to remember, I suppose, that these players, these top performers who win 20 and 30 ranking titles like John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan, they are only human. That's a good start there from Tom Ford. He wouldn't have been expecting to come back to the table so soon after missing that long red. But here he is. O'Sullivan in the chair and Ford at the table. He's coming off the back of a really good run in Germany, actually.
6.
He beat Judd Trump, had a third career 147 against Peter Ebdon, and beat Mark King before succumbing
7.
in the quarter-finals to Ali Carter. So Tom does arrive here from Berlin with some form.
$14. $15. Sure.
Well, he looked like then he wasn't very happy with the connection he had. It didn't look like there was a kick. Obviously he thought there was. He's still on the black. Maybe not as much an angle as he would have liked. But no problem. He's got 2 loose reds. Before he's going to have to start looking about developing that cluster. Well, he's done exactly the same as Ronnie. He took his eye off the pot there, just trying to get low on the black to go into that cluster of reds. It's been a nervy start by both players.
$6. 7.
Amazing, really, Darren, when you think that
14.
guys like Ronnie and John Higgins, notwithstanding yesterday's defeat, of course, with John, and Mark Williams, have been plying their trade at the top for, what, 24, 25 years. Certainly Ronnie,
Ronnie Sullivan 14.
at the age of 41, still looks like he's got plenty of magic in the tank, as was indicated by that 7th Masters title. These guys are proving you can still flourish into your early 40s.
Yes, well, it's done a complete turnaround, hasn't it? You know, when it first burst onto the scene, snooker that is, it was dominated by the elder generation, and then went to the younger generation and was there for quite a few years. In between 22 to 30, that's where all your winners was, and now all of a sudden it's turned right back around, late 30s, early 40s. So it's given a lot of players out there now hope that they haven't missed the boat. Speaking, he pots a good long red. It's a positive shot. He's gone for this thin brown into the green pocket. Been a little bit fortunate. There's a good pot on the brown. He deserves a little bit of run. Cannon this red nicely to the left centre. You can't help feel that if Ronnie O'Sullivan had probably had the same thought pattern as what likes of Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry had throughout their career, he would have smashed all the records with the talent that he's got. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Like all great geniuses, sometimes flawed. I think he'd be first to say over the years that he's sort of gone in and out of form and the way he feels about the game, and obviously it's affected his play.
11.
And yet that unpredictability has made him even more appealing to watch.
Like all geniuses, you know, I think this is just a common trait with him. And you are right, he's you know, a bit like with
Ronnie Sullivan 15.
just shows you these pockets are not easy. That was very close. It's just caught the jaw. He's played it at the right pace as well. You will have thought that was going in. It's all about this next shot now from Tom Ford. He's going to have to develop the reds. You want to go into the red to the left of the cluster. He could even play into the red just above the black. Well, he's missed them altogether. He's played for the red that I suggested just to the left of the cluster, and he's just got into the cue ball too much.
8.
That's what he's tried, just to get the flick off the end red. Been a funny sort of a start, this first frame.
Tom Ford 8.
We saw some excellent safety exchanges late last night between Dave Gilbert and Ryan Day. Amazing what some of these players can do with the cue ball. Dave Gilbert seemed to have a magnet in the ball, pulling it back to the top cushion. Ronnie has a go there, but it's safely back on the cushion.
Yes, that was a clever shot, that one. He knew he was always going to be going close to the green, and if the red had gone in, he just rolled up behind that green ball. He's forced an error from Tom Ford. None of the balls are really easy to get on. Roll through for the black or stun up for the blue or pink. And that was way off. Comes straight across there. Straight across the cue ball, that one. I was just about to say he's feeling a good mood to play the harder red, because this red on this left corner was unmissable for him. Tom Ford, you would feel he must take chances like this to have any kind of chance in this match. He's had a couple this first frame. You can guarantee as the match goes on, they're going to become fewer.
One.
Shake of the head there from the 33-year-old Leicester-based player. Grew up learning his craft in Willie Thorne's legendary club. He's disappointed with himself there.
8.
Yes, and the thing is, with Tom Ford, he doesn't get to play on the match table that much, the TV table. He'll normally be playing on the outside tables more often than not.
9.
And this match table shouldn't play any different in theory, but it does. Different lights and so forth. Don't know why that is exactly, but always has done right the way through my career. I always felt that when it got out on the TV table, it played slightly different to the outside tables. Obviously, Ronnie's used to playing on the match table, plays, say, 90-95% of his matches on the TV table. So there is a little difference.
16.
They tried to dislodge one of those two reds, but the cue ball just bounced straight back.
Yes, he wanted the cannon in off the edge of it, to cannon onto the other one to push it towards the right corner. Like Rob said, he just caught it full in the face. Cue ball carries on running. It's going to be a very, very good shot. He's got Ronnie now. No kind of trouble with that one. He'd love to just drop onto the red on the top cushion. To do that, he's going to have to come off 2 cushions. Just missed the red. Here's the left cushion. Slide past. It's the slide past. So he got the pace right. He has. It's a very good shot.
Both players there acknowledging the efforts of the other. Ronnie tapped the table with his cue when he was put in that awkward position, and Tom Ford just tapping his right palm on the table as he came down to address this one. Great etiquette being adhered to, as is always the case in these matches.
That was a tentative one from Tom. He was sort of trying to woo that ball down the table, trying to help it with fresh air to push it down there. Ronnie might think there's a bit of value in going for this red, knowing that how the red is so tight on the top cushion. Might have liked to play the safety shot, but this is worth a shot. And you can't cue him any better than that. If anything, he's just lost the cue ball, which that's the pace the tail. What a terrific strike that was. So it's around the table now. And this looks very good as well. There's 2 top draw shots. He needs another one now. You'll just be concentrating on the pot here, just dropping the red in.
9.
And all of a sudden, it looks like he's sparked into life.
$16. $18.
That's why people love watching him, because even in a scrappy frame he can produce a moment of magic. Oh dear.
Ronnie Sullivan, 18.
Commentator's curse there. Brilliant to put himself in the position of winning the frame, but he's left the door open here for Tom Ford.
It's all square. Still needs brown, blue and pink.
7.
It's all about this shot now, blue to pink. He'd love to have been able to got to that without using the rest. Probably use 1 cushion, bottom and left hand side. Needs the cue ball to run.
12.
It's okay. That's the frame over. He's just potting the black for a bit of potting practice. So it has to be said, this first frame has been a bit of a scrappy affair by both players. Both players have had their chances. Looked like Ronnie Sullivan was going to take the first frame, but it's Tom Ford. He takes it. He leads 1-0.
He'd have to go, for me, at least 2 or 3-0 in front to win this match.
He's been in this position before, hasn't he, Ronnie? But this is a good start for Tom Ford. Let's see if he can keep it up or not. Leading by 1 frame to 0.
Well, Tom Ford came through that very scrappy opening frame. So important to get off to a good start against Ronnie. Tom Ford has beaten O'Sullivan, although doesn't really count in the head-to-heads. It was in the shootout a couple of years ago. Ronnie has won both their matches in the traditional playing format.
Foul and a miss. Tom Ford 6.
That's the pink first there.
It's touching ball.
Tom will be absolutely delighted to have got that first frame on the board, especially after making a couple of mistakes. The ball being put back. Now Sullivan will have to have another go. No mistake the second time of asking. He's quite demonstrative, Tom Ford, isn't he? You can read quite a lot into his body language around the table, for good and bad.
Yes, you can, and I suppose we've seen a bit of it in the last frame where he wasn't happy with a couple of shots he played, and
Touching ball.
he nodded a little bit, you know, in disgust, and I'm not a big fan of that. You know, your opponent's looking at you, you always have the little sly glance over, and if you can see your opponent nodded and he's not happy, it fills you up with a little bit of hope and a bit of inspiration. So a lot of great players out there manage to hide their feelings, whether they're feeling ecstatic or real disappointed with what they've done. But Tom's one of these ones, he does show his emotions.
One.
Well, I bet he can't believe he's found all the gaps there. He'll have expected a cannon here. He's found the gap up and back. Now he's faced with a tricky safety shot. I mean, he could go for the tricky blue into the middle pocket. He'd only have to concentrate on the pot. White's going to come back towards the red, to the left corner. But it's a big shot. Well, he's really unfortunate there because he's made the blue.
1. 7, 5.
Very unfortunate. This looks a real thin snick, this one to the right corner, but it's got to be worth a look at. And he's going to go for it. This is as thin as he can hit it. Oh, he's hit that all wrong. He's hit that half ball way too thick. He had to near enough play to miss that completely. Get the thinnest of edges. He knew halfway down the table with the cue ball. He knew that was too thick. This is not easy by any means. A lot of distance between cue ball and red. Dead straight. A lot of pace.
1.
It's gone in. It wasn't a clean pot, and hence that's why he's not quite on the pink. But you wouldn't believe he could get that kind of an angle from that red there. Just come across it a little bit. And he's overcut the pink. This is not the Ronnie at the moment we're used to seeing.
Ronnie Sullivan 1.
Well, the defending champion and 4-time winner of the Welsh Open just taking some time to settle down here.
1.
Neither of them really playing their best, despite the fact that Tom took that first frame. Were you a bit surprised, Darren, that maybe Ronnie didn't take that one on where he put Tom back in?
Yeah, it was. You could have played it as a shot to nothing, and obviously Tom played it terrible, and hence missed it. You just can't believe what's going on at the minute. Now, if this red goes past the pink, he put all his eggs in one basket there. Bit of desperation there through the poor shot he played the shot before, so this has been a real funny start. He's open for it, and that's even worse. What's going on?
Shake of the head from O'Sullivan in his chair. Well, both of them will be getting frustrated with the way they're performing here in front of a good crowd at the Motor Point. It's one of the most prestigious titles out there, and it's not happening for either of them at the moment here in these first 20 or 30 minutes. Darren, just explain from a player's perspective what happens and how a scenario unfolds where you hear pros coming away from a match saying we dragged each other down. Just how does that actually happen?
Well, obviously at the moment both players are still a little bit nervy. You know, you might expect it from Tom Ford. You wouldn't expect it definitely from Ronnie O'Sullivan. And you know, he's played a great shot. That's a bit of frustration there, and he's played a shot to nothing with that double there. But you know, it wouldn't surprise me now if he didn't go on, because he's that type of a player, Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's missed a couple of unbelievable balls, which would normal players wreck for the rest of the match. But he's one of these players that he could then turn around, have one moment of brilliance, and then just clear the table, and he's back on point. But this has been a real strange start. And you are right, you know, you can get dragged in if you allow yourself to be dragged in. But both players will be frustrated that they've had good chances and they've just not done anything with them.
15.
What I will say, it is very, very hard out there. It's very tough. You know, first round. This is where the money is. This is where the points is. You know, obviously, Tom Ford is in a different position to Ronnie O'Sullivan. And these points for him are massive, and also the money is massive for him. Whereas Ronnie, you know, every year he picks up a couple of real nice checks, and he's always thereabouts, so it doesn't sort of affect him as much as it affects some of the lower players down.
21. 22.
Yes, we have a whole wealth of new tournaments emerging on the calendar under the guidance of Barry Hearn. A lot more prize money available, but you have to win it to get it in your bank account,
29.
and it is quite difficult for some of the lower ranked players to make ends meet.
30.
Just couldn't agree with you more, Rob, but what I will say is if you are a good player and you get your game right and you turn up and you play, there is a lot of opportunities now available
7.
for everybody and a lot of money to be earned. You know, these young lads now that are coming into the game, you know, it wasn't that long ago, unless you was one of the real top players, top 4 or top 8, yeah, you made a living. It wasn't a great living. Now, you know, they can set themselves up for the rest of their lives if they get the game together and they play consistent, which has got to be a good thing. At the end of the day, they have got professional in front of their name, so you know they should be in a position where they can earn money and sort of take care of the future.
45. 46. 53.
He played that one as a shot to
153.
nothing. He didn't quite get a cannon to test through the light, but in the normal circumstances I don't think he'd have played that red there. That was a little bit of frustration crept in. But it was better from Ronnie. Still enough there for Tom Ford.
Tom Ford shaking his head, scratching his face as he looks at the options before him. Still 67 on, 5 reds. Needs to remind himself he is rich. It has been a really strange 35 minutes or so. So much snooker being played in the first few days because we are the open 1-2-8 format. Joe Perry and Anthony McGill playing on the next table. Over a minute pondering his move here. Can't afford to make a mistake here because he is a long way adrift in this frame. Red to middle right is available if he fancies it. Ronnie fairly close to sealing this frame.
One. 53.
Red and a colour. Could have levelled things up. Tom Ford requires snookers. Ronnie will want to unequivocally put this frame out of sight.
11. 12. 19. 20. 27. 27, and
We
the
thought that was going to drop for just a second. Doesn't matter. After another scrappy frame, Ronnie has levelled the scores. It's one apiece. The four-time Welsh Open champion. That just one of a whole number of staggering statistics. A glittering career that was started with a ranking title at the tender age of just 17 back in the late 90s, winning the UK Championship. And who would have thought then, Darren, even though the huge talent was obvious, who would have thought then that over 2 decades later he'd still be going strong? That the length of time that he's dominated the game has been quite magnificent.
Well, I knew, because it was 1993 to be exact, and he beat me in the semi-final of the UK when he became the youngest ever winner of the ranking event, and the snooker he played in that semi-final and in the final, I had witnessed nothing like it. To play against him and then to see it, it was just unbelievable. In fact, I actually broke off and rolled into the pack and said, go on, pot one from there.
Thank you for the frame, Ronnie Sullivan.
Everybody laughed in the crowd and what have you, and obviously he didn't. And then next shot he played safe, I played safe, and then he cleared the table. So he still had the last laugh. But with that bit of reminiscing over, Ronnie O'Sullivan's breaking off. He'll be a little bit happier that he's levelled the score at 1 frame all. But both players have had their chances in these first 2 frames. It's probably a fair scoreline. But it has been funny 30 or 40 minutes. There's been a couple of unbelievable balls missed.
I still think coming back from almost an entire season off and winning the world title is just about one of the most staggering sporting achievements I can recall.
Yes, it is. It has to be said, even though he took a year off from playing tournament snooker, he played all year doing all the exhibition circuits, and he played in a couple of other private things, so it wasn't that he'd sort of put his cue down, took a year off and then came back. He was still active within his game and practice and everything. He just decided to have a sabbatical away from the ranking tournament scene. But nevertheless, it was still a great feat to come and do that.
Joe Perry was talking after the Masters final last month, saying even though you know you've been in the sport from his perspective for a couple of decades, and you know you should play the table and not the opponent. Joe said after that final, he is the most difficult player with which to put that into practice.
One.
Well, it was a good red. He's going to take another good shot. Dead straight blue into the green pocket. Hasn't got to do a lot with the cue ball. It's a good red, this one. Just a little bit too much side on the cue ball. He wanted to swing past them reds. He just cued across that. It wasn't easy. A lot of pressure on it.
Tom Ford, 1.
It's one of them.
One. Ronnie Sullivan, 1.
And still the errors keep coming into this third frame. Both players taking such a long time to settle down into this match.
Trouble is for Tom Ford, the way he'll be thinking at the moment, he will not have expected this, and in some ways it makes it a little bit harder for him that he's getting all these chances and he's struggling to take them. He will not have expected Ronnie O'Sullivan to be missing the balls that he's been missing
1.
in these first couple of frames. And sometimes it does play a funny part in the way you're thinking. And again, he hasn't played a great shot there. That's a shocker.
6.
Awkward cue and he's left himself. This red's not a gimme. Well, he's done
7.
well to pot that because it was awkward. He's going to have to play another good shot in the black. So still not great position just yet. And again, he's chasing his position at the minute. He's having to play a good
14.
shot every shot. It's probably the best shot he's played in this match so far. Now all of a sudden, this is a very good opportunity. Well, you just can't, you just cannot believe this. A massive margin of error there. It's just unbelievable.
Tom Ford, 22.
Once again, Tom Ford is coming back to the table much quicker than he would have been anticipating. He's not going to get too many better chances than this against Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's had so many opportunities in these first 2.5 frames. He must capitalise, because surely at some stage, Darren, the real class will come shining through from Ronnie.
And I think both players at the minute dumbstruck. Ronnie's talking to himself in his seat, or he has been. You've got Tom nodding his head back and forth, like a bit of a nodding dog. It's it has been a real strange affair, this start. And this is not real easy, even though he's left him a nice easy starter, albeit awkward bridging. He's either going to have to leave himself very high on this black, or he's going to have to leave himself a real tricky pink into the left centre. So still not a great position. But Ronnie's probably made more mistakes so far in this match than he's made in the last, I don't know, couple of tournaments. And that again is just terrible. If Tom Ford loses this match, with all the chances that he's had, he will have nightmares tonight, that's for sure.
One. Six. Seven. Thirteen. 14.
He's gathering a little bit of momentum here. Been watching Tom
Please
Ford.
switch off your phone. 21.
Chair. Almost still a look of disbelief on his face. Referee just asking a couple of mobile phones to be switched off in the crowd. Unfortunately, we do have people's phones ringing in almost every single session of world-class snooker. Someone always deems themselves important enough to have to answer a phone call at a world-class sporting event. Mind boggles.
$29. 30. 37. 38. 44. 45. 51. 52. 59.
First of two awkward reds here. There's the first. And Tom Ford now requires snookers.
67.
There is a possible century break here for Ronnie, although that red looks very difficult indeed, and the green is on the cushion as well. So Sullivan pots the last red and starts thinking about the colours.
$74.
And this is certainly more like the Ronnie O'Sullivan that people have come to expect and enjoy over the last 24
76.
or 25 years. Left-handed for this green. And it's there.
79.
So many opportunities
83.
gifted for the opponent from both players. So many we've almost lost count, but this is class from Ronnie O'Sullivan. He is the defending
88.
champion, remember.
$94.
A century break, and Ronnie O'Sullivan is at last back to form and in charge.
Ronnie O'Sullivan missing balls. Obviously with him kind of starting to pot a few now, it could be a different story. This for me is a game that Tom has to win. This frame he has to win. I can't see him winning from 3-1 behind.
Well, Ronnie has had a little break. He's back out. Ford there gets to his feet. A big frame for the Englishman. 2-1 down against the defending champion.
Yes, and Tom Ford breaks off. As Woody said, this is a very big frame in the context of this match for him. He's had his chances, he's just not taken them, and it was a good 100 by Ronnie in the last frame. And all of a sudden now he slots in the long red. He's lost the cue ball. The cue ball's going to go into bulk.
1.
So unless he was to pot a ridiculous yellow to centre pocket. Well, that's ominous signs for Tom Ford. It's the first real long pot that Ronnie's managed to get in. Well, he's had a bit of a kick there, but the yellow's still gone in. And all of a sudden now, as I alluded earlier on, he hasn't been playing very well. He has one little flash of brilliance, and bang, he's back. This, all of a sudden, is a completely different Ronnie O'Sullivan.
$11. Ronnie Sullivan 11.
Tom Ford has been to his first ranking final this season. Lost to Mark Selby in the final of the Paul Hunter Classic. But this is just not happening for him at all at the moment. Needs to try and draw on the memory of the good performances he's produced this season. But it's not clicking here.
I think, Rob, there's a lot of frustration have crept into Tom Ford's game now, and not often we say it, but he's in a position at the moment that we use the term through the players as at this moment in time he's completely gone. It is very difficult out there. Like I said, in some ways it's been harder because he will not have expected the chances he's had off Ronnie. And then to get them and not do nothing with them, it's probably frustrated the life out of him. But that last long red he went for, it wasn't too hard. He didn't have to do anything with the cue ball, just make sure of the pot, and he's hit it half ball. That's real bad signs for Tom Ford. Here we can see now he hasn't just missed that, and that's what he's done with his arms come out. He's pigeon winged it, as they say.
He's really taken his time over this one. Sullivan. Minute and a quarter, and he's still not certain. We're seeing plenty of emotion, different expressions on the faces of both men here. Not too many times you'll see Ronnie O'Sullivan taking 2 minutes to decide on a shot. And how many more chances like this will Tom Ford get in this match? We've seen the 101 from Ronnie to take the 2-1 lead. Willie Thorne said in the studio, this is an absolutely enormous frame for Tom Ford, and he's been gifted a lifeline here. Darren's mentioned he feels as though there were signs that Tom's head had gone. Got to get it back together here, because this is a chance.
Eight. Nine.
Already 3 shots in off the black. He played for the red just below the 2 reds above the black. He didn't get position. He got forced into playing the red in the middle, and now he's the wrong side of the blue. So all of a sudden he's making this a lot harder than it should have been. Like Willie alluded in the studio, he needs to get in and make 30 or 40 just to settle down. He hasn't hit that at all.
Fourteen.
Be very, very disappointed. Not to say that he can't pot this red. He's awkward queuing, a lot of distance. As a betting man, I wouldn't fancy him for this. It's just really
14.
poor.
Is there anything you can do when this kind of frustration comes into your game, Darren? Is there a case to be said without gamesmanship of almost walking round the table when you next get an opportunity and taking a minute and a half or 2 minutes and just talking to yourself and saying, come on, you've got to get this back together. You're not out of this match yet.
Well, unfortunately, you are right, but it's easier said than done. What you need is your opponent to help you and give you chances, and Ronnie O'Sullivan has done that. He's given him loads of chances. I mean, that was a perfect chance there. And, you know, he hasn't made 20 from it, which, for a player of Tom Ford's calibre, it's just not good enough, you know, and he's had a couple of chances like that, and he hasn't made any breaks. You know, at this standard, you must score when you get your chances, and obviously what's going to make it worse for Tom Ford now, he's on the TV table. Even though you're supposed to not think about it, he knows this is getting panned out to, dare I say it, millions that are watching, and all of a sudden he's going to feel very, very big in his seat, as if all the eyes of everybody in the audience at home are on him, his friends, his family, and he just can't do anything about it at the minute. He's under real pressure there, and he's frustrated, and the harder you try, the worse it gets. He's still getting his chances, he's just not doing anything with them.
Well, that tells you a story all of its own. Highest break of 25. And he has produced some really good snooker this season. I mentioned his run in Germany earlier, beating Trump and Ebden and King. That's more like it. First full ranking final earlier this year. Played Mark Selby in the Paul Hunter Classic. When he gets it right, he is a class act. He's also beaten Marco Fu this season when he made it to the last 16 of the English Open, and that's no mean feat, bearing in mind the quality of snooker that Marco's been producing over the last 4 or 5 months. So he has got top quality snooker in his armoury. We just haven't really seen it yet so far in this match.
And he's not having the rubs, you know. He potted a very good red. He won't have wanted to gone for that red. He knocked in. The frustrations made him go for it. He's knocked the red in. He doesn't cannon the other red. He's half ball on the black, nice. He's cannoned the red, left awkward with the cue in with the spider. And now he's got to play another good shot, which thankfully he's done.
9.
And he is now back in prime position. He really needs to make 40 year just to settle down. It's a must. He won't get a better chance than this. He's back in great position. Balls are sitting perfect.
14.
To have any chance in this match, he needs to count, make this effort count.
15. 22. 23. 28.
It's almost a little bit reminiscent of Barry Hawkins when he played Ricky Walden in the semi-finals in 2013. And there was one session in that match where Barry was almost laughing to himself because he couldn't get a break of more than 40 together. And then came out in the next session and played brilliant snooker. Well, I guess you can afford to do that at the World Championships, especially deep into the semi-finals. The match is so long, over 30 frames, but in a best of 7 you cannot get away with that, especially against the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan. Oh, and just as it looks as though he's putting a decent break together,
Tom Ford 34.
all of a sudden he's broken down yet again.
One.
Darren, would I be right in saying if Tom Ford does lose this match, this is the kind of defeat that will take him a long time to get over?
No, I don't think so. It's not that he's at the semi-final or the final of the event. It's the first round of a tournament. It's just he'll just put it down to he's had a total mare if he was to go on to lose this, and try and forget about it as soon as possible. Just get back on the practice table and knock balls around. The only thing is, he'd probably be thinking he wasn't capable of playing like this, especially with all the practice he puts in and how good a season he's had so far. Don't get me wrong, Ronnie's frustrated out there. He's just punched the table there with his knuckle because he didn't get the required cannon from that black. Just been one of them matches, I'm afraid. Pots in a great red. That is the problem when you play Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now he's back in perfect position again, and all of a sudden, the last
24.
frame and a half, 2 frames, he's looked like a completely different player, bar for a couple of
25.
silly shots, you'd have to say.
Five, 2. Ronnie Sullivan 32.
Tom Ford can actually have a go at this red to the yellow pocket, as long as he doesn't catch it thick. Make sure if he does miss it, he misses it on the thin side. He makes the pot, cue ball's naturally going to come back down the table. Well, he's elected not to play the pot. It's not a bad safety shot.
Foul. And a miss. Tom Ford 4.
Well, despite all the
No, sorry.
despite all the mistakes, Tom Ford is still in this frame, and he's just helping the referee on the placement. So this is how they were. And O'Sullivan had the first attempt. Green just needs to move a fraction. Very easy for us, sitting in the box or watching at home on TV. So the green's still not quite exactly where it was the first time round. Just seems as though green was a little further away from that red than it currently is. Not easy moments these for the referees. Tom Ford is once again saying that he feels the green was further away, and Ronnie was asking Tom if it was correct. That looks better. Only ever such a slight move on that green coming out. Tom's having a long look at this. Ronnie not looking at the table at the moment. Just letting the referee and Tom Ford make absolutely sure they're certain. Crowd just finding it a little bit amusing. Even Tom Ford had a little bit of smirk on his face there. Malgorzata Kinieska. Just wanting to make sure that it's right. There's still some dialogue going on between Malgorzata and Ronnie O'Sullivan. I think Ronnie just said, "I'm in trouble, mate." They're chatting about shots that they've missed as if they're just in their local club having a couple of pints on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, so Tom is just indicating that the green needs to be moved a little further away from the red. So let's have another look at the superimposed. So actually it almost needs to come... does it need to come a little bit closer to the D? Maybe been moved just a little bit too far. And now Malgorzata is moving the green ball back, so you can just see the shadow.
So in which direction? So in which way the green is wrong?
I can't remember, I just know that's not right.
Not sure whether you're hearing that. Ronnie's saying, "I can't remember, I just know that this isn't right."
Is that about right? From where I'm sitting, yeah, that's about right.
And Tom's saying that's about right. The green seems as though it's correct when we have a look at the superimposed image. Now at last we are back to the snooker. I think the crowd were finding one or two of those exchanges quite amusing. A few smiles on faces as they were listening to the two players chatting to one another there.
important time for Tom Ford in this match now, the context of it anyway.
One.
You'll settle for that. The problem for Tom Ford, this is, he's going to need that awkward yellow near the brown. Played quite a good shot here, so even if the red hadn't got in, he'd have still snookered him on that one red. In an ideal world, he'd have to move the yellow off the brown, but I think he's just going to have to play the roll in behind the green. And he's tried to develop the brown and the yellow there, and I think he's just pushed it a little bit too far so Ronnie can get through to this red. But he was trying there to develop all balls just in case he got an opportunity. This calculation. And has Ronnie doubled this?
One.
Well, he has, he's doubled it. I can't imagine he played the cross double there. I think that was a fluke. He hasn't acknowledged it as a fluke, but I don't think he played the cross double. Nevertheless, the black's gone in. And he's marching on.
8. Seventeen.
Well, what a shot. The cross double to tee up
22.
the key frame. Just the pink required. And it's there. So a long frame for all manner of reasons. But Ronnie O'Sullivan now finds himself within one of the winning line. He leads 3 frames to 1.
You know, concealed a win now. You know, it feels like he's going to be convinced he's going to lose. I mean, that's the problem with Tom. His body language is terrible. You know, I mean, I'm a big fan of Tom. He's a Leicester lad and things, but he has to definitely improve his body language, because if you're sitting in your seat shaking your head, your opponent's going to gain something from that. Even if it's only thinking, oh, Tom's not fancying it, at least look like you're going to compete. At the minute, Tom's not competing.
Well, here is Ronnie then, breaking off in this 5th frame, playing for the match.
Well, a really strange match has unfolded with the errors and all the talking points. But the frame that Tom Ford won seems like it was a long time ago now. 3 in a row for Ronnie. I'd love to finish this off. That's a good way to start.
1.
This is more like the Ronnie thought was going to turn up, and this is the kind of Ronnie that Tom Ford would have thought was going to turn up from the word go. I can't help feel the fact that Ronnie missed so many balls in them first 3 frames just put Tom Ford off a little bit.
7.
I'm frustrated knowing he's had a real opportunity to beat a world-class player in Ronnie today. Just hasn't taken his chances. Frustrating day at the office.
Twelve. Thirteen. Eighteen. Ronnie Sullivan, 18. One.
He's got nothing to lose, really. This isn't a good scoring opportunity. He can play the yellow down for the loose red. Could go for the much thinner blue onto the pink and split him, but opt in for the yellow. Well, he's tried to develop him off the yellow, and
Tom Ford, 1.
all went wrong. I'll feel if he's going to play at that pace, he'd had much better value in playing the blue with the cue ball into the pink. Could have just played it at normal pace and the cue ball would have done the work for him. So another great red by Ronnie. Ronnie started to find the groove a little the last 2 or 3 frames. Interesting to hear his press conference after this match, Ronnie, what he's going to say about his performance and
6.
Tom Ford's performance.
7.
Interesting to see as well if his interviews are any different to what they were at the Grand Prix up in Preston, because they were quite interesting to say the least.
Yes, I had a look at that online, the robot answers. I think Neil Foulds finished that interview by saying, well, Ronnie, you played a bit like a robot in that match. Not really a lot you can say to a man who's giving you answers pretending to be a robot voice. There's never a dull moment.
13.
He sometimes does have a twinkle in his eye at the press conferences. The one he gave after securing that 7th Masters title. It's quite amusing. He had his son Ronnie Jr. there, and
14.
all the press gathered round and said, "Oh, can your son play? Is he a good snooker player?" He gave that classic kind of wink and a smile and said, "No, mate, I've told him it's got to be golf or tennis." Snooker's too hard. But of course he said it with a massive smile on his face.
20. Twenty-one. Twenty-seven. 28.
The winner of this one, face Mark Davis. He beat Lee Hang 4-2.
34.
Ronnie very close here.
$40.
But it won't go down as one of his absolute finest performances, and I'm sure he'll say that himself when he chats after this match. But now Tom Ford requiring
47.
multiple snookers, and he knows this is all but over.
Ronnie Sullivan, 47.
And he decides not to chase it. Only 5 behind. A real shame there for Tom Ford. Away for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's through to the second round. 4 frames to 1.
Ronnie's just joined us.
Here is the man.
Not one of Tom's best performances.
No, it wasn't that great, was it? From both of us, really.
Not your best performance either, perhaps, Ronnie, but here you are. You're through.
Yeah, it was a win, and I'm happy to be through.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many times you've sat in that chair with us last year as the winner, but what did you feel during that game? Was there a point where you felt perhaps, you know, you weren't going to make it today when he took that first frame?
At some points, yeah, there was. Yeah, some points there was. Yeah.
I've been trying to say, Ronnie, I mean, if we all played our A game, we'd win every time, wouldn't we? Now and again, you have to struggle through it. I mean, obviously, today you made a century break, but you weren't at your best, and that's the beauty of having a B game, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to try and win all games, don't you, really?
Yeah.
He made the point beforehand that the best way to try and beat you is to try and catch you cold in round 1. Would you go along with that?
I don't know, mate. He's got his own ideas, so I can't really comment on that one.
Yeah. Did you feel, though, perhaps you gave him more opportunities than you would have ideally liked to have done? He perhaps just didn't take them?
Yeah, Tom had his chances today, and he just didn't take them, really.
Yeah. So you move on to round 2.
Yeah.
Mark Davis, next.
Another really tough match for me, so just pleased to be in still.
And I know you talk about, you know, you don't care about landmarks and records and all these kind of things, but with John Higgins, Ronnie, going out yesterday, you're the only guy now who can get a 5th Welsh Open title. You'll go down as the best ever in this tournament. Must mean something to you to possibly do that.
Yeah, I didn't even know John had gone out, so that's news to me.
Cardiff's one of your favourite places, though, surely. It's a great town, isn't it?
I love the Cardiff. I love Cardiff, love Wales, love the Welsh fans, and you know, I'd been so disappointed to lose today because I just enjoy playing in front of the Welsh fans. You know, I enjoy playing in front of all the fans, but they really got, you know, so they've had some great snooker players over the years, and they have a great history, so they really know their snooker.
Doing a bit of jogging around Cardiff in between games?
Yeah, I will be, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Enjoy. Thanks, Ronnie. Well done today. Through to
The Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan.